Hey everyone, this is Mike Clay from over at ProFootballFocus.com, and this is the Fantasy Slant. Today I want to talk a little bit about end zone targets. Too often in fantasy football, you hear red zone data referenced. Is that a good indicator of a player's scoring potential? I say no, it's flawed. You have a guy who's targeted on a screen at the 19-yard line, that's treated the same way as a guy who's targeted on a slant inside the end zone. We can't have that, we need something better, and that's why I developed a stat I call opportunity adjusted touchdowns. What that does, it weighs every single target seen by a player and it assigns a value based on the potential of a player scoring a touchdown. So today I want to focus on one aspect of that, that's end zone targets. Consider that last season, of all the balls that were thrown to players while they were in the end zone, 38% were caught for a touchdown. As you move further away from the end zone, that number obviously drops, so 38%, a pretty big number relative to the other yard line. So let's focus on the winners and losers in that category last season. The winners, tied for the top spot, Brandon Marshall, AJ Green. They each saw 23 end zone targets to pace the entire NFL. AJ Green, he scored 11 touchdowns last season. 8 of those came on end zone targets, so that's a big chunk of what he saw. That Bengals offense, they've done a nice job the last couple seasons. Andy Dalton, say what you want about how good the kid is. He's been a fantasy force. He was number 3 in fantasy points at the quarterback position this past season. Brandon Marshall, on the other hand, he scored 12 times last season. 10 of those balls were on end zone targets. So again, he did a lot of his damage there, not unlike some of the other top players in that Chicago passing game. Martellus Bennett, of course, he was targeted a lot down there, and Alshon Jeffrey, we know all about him. He was a major force down in and around the end zone. So under Mark Trestman, this is going to be a high-powered offense going forward. Green and Marshall, they're going to score a lot of touchdowns. We know that they see work down there. We just talked about that. And, they're right in their prime right now. So, on the other hand, we have guys who were kind of losers in the category. Kendall Wright, he only scored twice last season. Why did that happen? He was 16th in the NFL in targets. He should have scored more often. Well, it was a lack of work near the end zone. He saw only one end zone target. He caught it, of course, so maybe you should have seen more work down there. Under Ken Whisenhunt now, you would expect that he'll be more involved down there where he can make plays and find the end zone. But he may always struggle in this department a little bit, because he is a bit undersized. So that's something to keep an eye on there with Wright. Eddie Royal, kind of funny to see him on here. He scored 8 touchdowns last season, but consider that he caught only 1 of 4 end zone targets. He is a major regression candidate. He took 7 of his 8 touchdowns in from outside the end zone. It's not sustainable. It's not going to keep up going forward. So look for slam dunk regression out of Royal next season. So that's a little bit of a tip of the iceberg of opportunity adjusted touchdowns and end zone targets. We'll talk a lot more about this over at ProFootballFocus.com and in future installments here of the Fantasy Slant. For Pro Football Focus, I'm Mike Clay.